All right, what's up? Welcome back to part 2 of the Q&A. I have a lot of questions to answer, and I'm trying to answer them all, so it might be pretty long, but I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do that again in the future, but I just really wanted to try and get through all of these. They're all really great questions, so let's just jump straight into it. First one is from Taylor. What is one thing that you're nervous about in the next few months while living the digital nomad lifestyle, and 3 things that you're totally excited for? One thing I'm nervous about is just this fear of the unknown, and it's also something that I'm excited for, so it's kind of both. But yeah, I've always struggled with ambiguity and this sort of fear of the unknown and going into uncharted territory, doing something that is outside of my comfort zone. So being, doing the digital nomad thing, packing up everything I own into my car, and sort of going off on this adventure that is, taking a risk, taking a leap of faith is nerve-wracking. 3 things I'm excited for: traveling to cool places, meeting amazing people like you, like other people that are, supporters of Thought for Food, and also not being tied down to a lease is gonna be an amazing feeling. Not having to pay, monthly rent all the time is gonna be really cool. From Cortlandia, how did you and Aaron meet? Basically, I first went vegan like 3 years ago or so, and I went to a meetup group in Boulder because I was kind of confused about what to do, and I was talking to them about if they knew anyone that in the community that was like an endurance athlete that was vegan that could help me out, and they directed me to Aaron. It's been true love ever since. Next question from my friend Sam Friedman. What's up, buddy? Thanks for asking. He asks, mind/mental health plus gut connection, is there one? Definitely. I think you should read The Microbiome Solution by Dr. Robin Chutkin, or listen to her interview on the Ritual podcast. She talks a lot about this. But yeah, your gut bacteria and your gut microbiome can actually affect your mood, your cravings, and so if you're having any sort of dysbiosis or a sort of like imbalance within your gut microbiome, you're gonna have, maybe a higher chance of depression or anxiety or different sorts of mental health issues. So really interesting science in there. There's still so much we don't understand or know about the microbiome, but we do know that there is some data and studies to suggest that having a really healthy gut microbiome actually does affect the brain. From Matthew Mitchell, how do you trust nutrition info? I find myself being pulled in a ton of different directions when it comes to diet, such as keto, 80-10-10, vegetarian zone, paleo. The cults formed surrounding diet contribute to so much guilt over what you put in your mouth. It seems like you're relatively at peace with your food choices. How did that come about? Great question, fantastic question. Definitely when it comes to, you're right, there's a lot of misinformation, a lot of information, a lot of dogma and sort of cult behavior surrounding diet, even within the vegan community. And so for me, I kind of tend to stick to what I know best, which is the science, the data. And so I basically, since the day that I started eating more plant-based, I've been super focused on looking more into the research and really understanding the science and the disease process. And of course, obviously, I'm, professionally trained in physiology and nutrition. So I do have a little bit of a background in that. Definitely, like, nutritionfacts.org is all completely, fully peer-reviewed, scientific research based, and Dr. Greger sort of lines out all the information in a really easily digestible way. But when it comes to this stuff, like, for me, and I still struggle with this, but I think for me, the way that I've become more at peace with my food choices is just by thinking critically. And this is the critical thing, no pun intended, but is to understand, the basics of how the science works, how physiology is affected by food, and how it makes sense. And like, yeah, there is some some data to suggest that a ketogenic diet can actually help with things like epilepsy or, reducing cancer risk. But does that, when you think about it, does that actually help you over the long term by eating a diet completely based on the kind of rotting fat and skeletal muscle of another dead animal? That just doesn't make sense to me. So you have to think critically, and because you're also eliminating a huge amount of amazingly healthy food groups like starches and fruits and things like that. And so, you know, you also have to think about how it makes you feel. Do you feel good eating a keto diet? Do you feel, you know, like you're restricting yourself significantly, or do you feel, you know, energized and all these things? And so you have to kind of take all of these different things, like from the epidemiology, such as the blue zones. We know the healthiest, you know, longest living cultures on the planet eat a primarily plant-based diet. But there's other things going on there. There's not just diet. And then, you know, we look at from a mechanism of action point of view. You know, a plant-based diet is very rich in fiber, which is, you know, significantly going to lower your risk, you know, disease for like all sorts of cancers and things like that. And then also, of course, just how does it make you feel as an athlete or something like that. So you just have to take all of it together and sort of come to it from a more like zoomed out perspective, and that is the way to go. And I hope that makes sense, because that's just sort of how I feel about it. I try not to overthink these things, but I'd say the biggest thing too is to not get your nutrition information from like the media. Okay, Holly asks, can you talk about foam rolling, how often you should do it and why, what are the benefits? Foam rolling, yeah, I go back and forth between foam rolling. I think it's really awesome, especially as someone who can't afford to get like massages regularly. It's sort of like a free and cheap way to get massages. I usually would suggest doing it like right after a workout. Your muscles are warm still, and they, you know, can really benefit from sort of that massage and that sort of stretching of those muscles. And I think the main benefits of foam rolling is, yeah, you kind of get that more deep tissue sort of work done, and as well as it's a great way to stretch things like the IT band, which can be pretty hard to stretch effectively. So if you kind of roll alongside the IT band, which runs alongside your, you know, upper leg, you can get a lot of really good stretching out of that and really kind of strengthen and improve the, you know, blood flow. And I've found it to be really, you know, beneficial and really great as a recovery tool. And you know, you can bring, like, I have a little foam roller you've probably seen in the videos that are, it's like about this big, and that way you can take that pretty much anywhere. You can travel with it. But yeah, I think a foam roller is great. I don't think there's anything negative about it. But definitely doing like 20 or 30 minutes of foam rolling and stretching after a workout is going to really help you with recovery, and it's something that I need to get back into really focusing on. All right, from Eric Atkinson, hey Jackson, I'm having trouble getting back into running and fitness in general. I ran a 25K mountain race in October and I've been pretty low key ever since. Any suggestions for getting back on track? Well, you know, I think with that, like you probably have a solid base if you had, you know, if you did a lot of training for 25K, so it probably won't take as long as you think to get back on track and get back to a, you know, a solid base of fitness. But definitely start slowly. You know, maybe start incorporating a nice like solid hour run, like 3 or 4 days a week. Start building up from that, and just kind of listen to your body, see how it feels. But definitely start with very low intensity exercise, like conversational pace, running, and, you know, maybe even some cycling or whatever you like to do. But definitely, you know, go through a few weeks of just base training, of just doing really, you know, endurance paced exercise before you start getting into any intensity. All right, from Celia Mars 99, what are your thoughts on honey? I think I've talked about this before, but I just don't feel like it's necessary to exploit bees to take their honey. I do think, though, that we need to, you know, create more sustainable ways to promote bee colonies and pollinators. My brother is actually really into honey and beekeeping, and so it's really interesting talking to him about his position. But I prefer maple syrup and agave and stuff, so I don't feel the need to eat honey. I don't really eat it. I don't seek it out, but I think industrial honey is really messed up. It's really exploitative and just not necessary. All right, from Marte Bjerke, I'm guessing that's how you say your name. Sorry if I mess that up. What are your thoughts on non-vegan environmentalists? I know plenty of amazing non-vegan environmentalists, including a PhD professor at CU who's been on the podcast, Peter Newton, who has done research on the cattle industry in Brazil. He's vegetarian. He's not completely vegan. He's nearly vegan, but I think for some people, it's, you know, maybe just difficult, or they just haven't come to that realization yet to fully go completely 100% vegan. And I applaud them for, you know, at least thinking about it and at least being focused on the environment. And I think that, you know, it doesn't necessarily mean that you are an idiot or anything like that, obviously. So, you know, obviously, eating a plant-based diet is kind of the best way to go if you're, you know, trying to reduce your impact on the environment, but there's plenty of other ways to make an impact. And you know, it just, you know, people come to it in their own ways, in their own time, and I don't judge people that aren't vegan. So I think that that's kind of my stance. Okay, next question from You're Not Your Channel. I always read it's important to bring like some carbs and electrolyte stuff on longer training sessions, more than an hour. But if I go for, say, a 1.5 to 2 hour run, it seems like such a hassle to bring drinks/food. Is it really important to do that, or will post-workout meal as soon as possible be good enough? Yeah, so I think, especially for anything under an hour or an hour and a half, you're gonna have plenty of glycogen to get you through that workout, even if it's really intense. But a lot of this is gonna depend on the intensity of that workout. So if you're going for a 1.5 to 2 hour hard, long run, you might wanna bring something, you know, just kind of simple, like a gel or some dates or something that's, you know, really quick sort of glucose and, you know, really good energy. But if it's under, you know, 1.5 hours, it's probably fine to not bring any food. All right, and the final question is from Nature's Tea Party. What exactly is a digital nomad? Are you going to stay in America? A digital nomad is basically someone who works, you know, completely remotely, and they aren't necessarily living, you know, they're not based anywhere, so they are traveling around, yeah, basically traveling all over the world or wherever they decide to be, working from a computer, so that they are a lot more, you know, flexible, and they have more freedom to travel and work and save money. And so I'm kind of trying to do that myself. I'm working remote jobs, I'm doing grad school online, and I'm trying to build Thought for Food and make videos and stuff. So everything I'm doing is from a computer, and I just decided to, you know, kind of combine that with doing some traveling. And so it's basically what a digital nomad is. Are you going to stay in America? I am not. So I'm going to be kind of staying in America for the next few months, and then this summer I'm going to Europe, and then hopefully eventually, you know, if I become more successful at this digital nomad thing, maybe go to Southeast Asia, which is where sort of like the kind of main hub of digital nomadism is, because your dollar, if you live in America, can go like way farther there. So I'd love to go to Bali, maybe go back to Thailand, stuff like that. So yeah, we'll see. I mean, it's all up in there. I'm just kind of trying to take it a day at a time right now. All right, guys, thank you so much for asking all of those questions. Really fun. Let me know if you want to do this again, or if you like doing more Q&As. Obviously, that was pretty long. I'd have to break it up into 2 pretty long vlogs there, but I thought it was pretty fun. I love answering questions. It's honestly one of my favorite things to do. So, you know, let me know in the comments below if you would like to do more Q&As. I know I haven't done one in a while, but it's really cool to see sort of the you know, increase in questions being asked by people. So I'd love to hear your thoughts. And if you like this kind of style, I do questions more regularly incorporated into the vlogs, or like this, where it's just one, you know, kind of big Q&A focused thing. So I'd love to hear your thoughts and how, you know, we can make this more, you know, engaging and more dynamic. So thank you guys so much for watching. Give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, and we will talk to you soon. Go eat some plants and do some epic shit. Bye.